Okay, everybody, welcome to the Updating the ePortfolio and Multimedia Project webinar. Tonight, I'm gonna run through a few things that I want y'all to consider as you are finalizing your multimedia project and your webinar. And your ePortfolio. A few quick comments. Number one, I know in the weekly feedback surveys, there were some issues with accessing the Adobe Connect webinar archives. They weren't very usable. So what I did is I went and removed I made it into a video, the audio project one, and posted it to YouTube. So that should be a little more visible. I used the one that my student, Richard Thripp, did last year because he did a better job than me. So I posted that one to YouTube. So the link and the files that I use and all that are all on there. So it should be a little more usable. If not, blame him, and we'll go from there. There's that. And then secondly, in the two more things. Number one, the one comment was that the weekly feedback surveys every week is a bit much. So those ended this week. There are two more, but they're optional. So if you want to share some constructive or critical thoughts with me on the course, I'm happy to hear them. I won't know who you are. There isn't a confirmation code for any of these. And I'm too lazy to track IP addresses and hunt you down if you say bad things about me. And then the other thing was that this week on Thursday, I'm going to have a Q&A session, totally optional, just up to y'all. And I don't have an agenda. It's just y'all, if you have any questions on these final projects, maybe even your audio project, I'll help out with any, do any demos and answer any general questions about that. Obviously, you can send me a message and whatever. If you can't make it to it, but you have some questions you want me to address, you can either set up an individual appointment with me, or you can send me a message and I'll make sure I address your questions in the webinar, and I'll record it and post it afterwards. Then next week, we're not going to have a formal required webinar. We're going to have just a final Q&A. So anything you don't get addressed on Thursday, or if you can't make it on Thursday, I'll do a poll where the preferred day and time is there, and I'll probably do like an hour and a half, open it for that long. And then again, if you can't make it for that, but you have questions, just set up an individual appointment with me and we'll figure things out. Okay, moving on. Do y'all see the converting the meeting recording down at the bottom?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so before we get going into actual doing the updating of the multimedia project in the ePortfolio, I just want to highlight a few kind of things that I want you to consider, some resources you can come back and access later, but just some things, hopefully some new things that you'll learn how to do. So the first thing is there are three options. When you submit it, I should not have to figure out what the option is. It should be very obvious to me, or you can let me know in your submission. So if it kind of maybe blurs the lines of two of them, let me know, say, hey, this is option one or option two or option three in your submission. So it's clear to me. As I'm looking at it, it should be pretty clear anyway, but sometimes they overlap a little bit. So just let me know in the submission, because I do look at some different things regarding each of the individual options. And then today we're going to spend a good bit of time talking about design and usability and what that means for finalizing our ePortfolio and multimedia projects. Particularly, we're going to talk about when we're working with audio, how do we embed it? So when I'm working with audio, does it make sense for me to provide a link to an audio file and then they click on the link and then it opens in a new window and I got to make sure it opens in a new window? Or do I want something that they can just hit the play button on and pause and move on? Obviously, I want something that's embedded in that page. So we're going to talk about some different ways we can do that. Some more techy, some less techy, some more attractive, some less attractive. Okay, and so apparently that's okay. Thank you for interrupting my presentation to tell me that the recording was done. Appreciate it. Zoom. Um, then the second thing, kind of that same thing with video, you know, I can link to a video and that's perfectly fine. Well, not perfectly fine, but it's a one, they're going to have access to the same content, but that doesn't make sense. I don't want to have them leaving the page. I want to have that video embedded. So we'll talk about that. And then our graphics layout projects. Do we want to convert those to videos and make those usable in that way and embed them in the project? Well, if they have interactivity, then the video, converting it to video, strips that interactivity from it and isn't the most effective way. So we want to look at some other options. So we'll look at some other options today that will maintain that audio and the interactivity if you integrated that into your product. So these are some of the tools that we'll use. And again, this is being recorded, so they'll be visible if you need to revisit them later. Minimize this a little bit. And if you have questions, feel free to type them in the chat. This is a big project, and I know I've talked about this a few times before, but I need to see at least 4 forms of video. If there aren't at least 4 forms of video, you're already starting at a low B minus or a low B with it. So when we look at the 4 forms of media, I mentioned it before, text and hypertext counts as one form of media. Pauline, I'll get to that in a second. Good question, though. So text and hypertext counts as one form of media together. Then we have graphics, we have video, we have audio. Those are typically the 4 that are used. But let's say you did an interactive PowerPoint and you embed that in. You could use interactive media as one of your forms if it's clearly an interactive element. Hypermedia is another form that you could use as well. So there are many different forms of media. It doesn't just have to be audio, text, and hypertext, graphics, and video. But those just tend to be the most common because those are what we worked with mostly in the course. Then it's also one thing that's very, very important is as I'm going through and examining the uses and interacting with your project, it should be very clear why you're using the piece of media that you are in the way that you're using it. It should enhance the benefits of that particular form of media while minimizing the drawbacks. So if I go to your page and it's an introductory page and I see a dissertation length introduction in text that could have been a 30-second audio clip, I'm probably going to say, why do you have all this text here when you could have done an audio clip and made this very much more user-friendly? And they're going to get more out of that. Also, you know, if you're doing something like teaching somebody how to upload to their server space and you do a piece of audio, that's problematic because you would want to do like a screencast video for that. So the way you use, I should be going through it and go, that's a really good use of audio. That's a great use of video. That's a really good use of interactive hypermedia. That's a great link there. So it should be very clear to me why you're using it, because that's how it should be to the user. The user shouldn't be going, why aren't they using a video here when they could be using this? So, but then again, the reverse of that is also true. So if you have something that could be done in a sentence of text, you don't need to create an 8-minute video to have them walking through it. So the converse of that is very true as well. So to address Paulina's question, there is no rubric for this assignment. I have my reasons. The main reasons are that there are 3 different options and they're very different types of media that are used in different ways. So it would be like a 4,000-page rubric for y'all if I did create one. And it just it makes it more complex and stressful than it needs to be. So in creating your product, you need to make sure that you address the content issues that we've talked about throughout the course. So presenting content, design, usability issues, technical issues that we've talked about. So things need to work. And then presentation issues. So the design usability, the embedding, the use of the different types of media in appropriate ways. Those 3 areas are the big things that I'm looking for when I'm going through it. So if you go back and look at the rubrics of the audio project, the rubrics of the graphics layout, those are the kind of things I'm going to be looking for in a more kind of global way with your multimedia project. So Brian asked if we are building off of your shell or a new site altogether. That is 100% up to you, Brian. If you want to build on your shell and improve it, that's up to you. If you feel comfortable working, if you did an HTML with table shells and you feel comfortable working with templates and CSS now, then that would be my recommendation, would be to move along to more advanced kind of things. May you use existing materials? And I know I've touched on this before, but yes, you can definitely use existing materials. There are many, many repositories of great media. Y'all may have heard of this really nice site called YouTube before. It has videos on just about everything you can do. I don't know if I've told this story, but I flew in one night from a conference in DC, sick as a dog. At 1 in the morning, I'm on I-4 and I get a flat tire. And I've never changed my tire before in this particular vehicle. I didn't even know where it was. It was a Tacoma, a Toyota Tacoma. And so I'm on not I-4, 417, 1 in the morning on the side of the road with my phone, watching a YouTube video on how to change the tire on a Toyota Tacoma so anyway, so there's videos on everything. Whoops, sorry. Okay. So if you use audio, now obviously text, and you don't want to copy text from something else and plagiarize something, and you do want to cite and give credit to the appropriate individuals whose sources you use, but you are allowed to use existing resources. So tips. Be very clear in everything you do. So the content, how people are interacting with it, what they're doing, that you need to be, how they navigate through, all of that needs to be very clear to the user. If I'm questioning it and I do this for a living, that's probably gonna not bode well for some point deductions. So everything needs to be very clear and concise. Also, you don't need to be too wordy, but don't be too limited. Again, pay attention to design and usability. We've talked about this. We'll go through that more. Be thorough. Don't just provide so in the PowerPoint, in the graphics layout media project, you can provide bullets and then elaborate on them. Well, it's difficult to do that with certain types of media here. So you need to figure out ways to be thorough. You don't want to just provide bullet points on your web pages. You want to be thorough in providing guidance, providing the structure, providing the content for them. And then probably the two biggest things that I see on this are, one is not enough context. So and that's kind of getting to that being clear and being thorough issue. And then the other one is not being intentional. So, and what I mean by being intentional is, as this is being put together and the end users are being considered throughout the design and development process, everything they're doing needs to have a purpose. So it doesn't need to be extraneous. And they need to know what they're doing and why and what's next. So let's say I have a web resource, for example, and you want them to click on it and interact with something specific on that website. Well, if they click on that website and then there's 4,000 other links on it and other text and other context and all, and you haven't provided them with guidance on how to interact with the particular elements you want them to interact with, then that's a problem. So you want to be very clear with how they interact with content. You want to be very clear with how they're to interact with your site. So what might be nice is on your welcome page or your home page, maybe like a little audio introduction on what the site's about, how they're going to interact with it, and that sort of thing. So be very clear and intentional with the way they're using things. Kind of associated with that, don't just provide a list of resources without very structured guidance. So if you are providing a list of resources, that's great, but they need to know why and how they're interacting with each one of those elements. You can group some of them sometimes and provide some annotations, but be careful of that, because then it can get really complicated. Fill the gaps with existing resources. So you've created all of these pieces of media, hopefully on that topic, and something that can be used, some things that can be used in your multimedia project. Well, it's not going to address everything. There's going to be little gaps. So maybe find existing resources, videos, audio clips, whatever, to fill in those gaps. And then I think they should work together. Existing resources and resources created by you will work together to kind of create this kind of holistic kind of project. Because there's great resources out there that aren't going to fit exactly what you need. So going in and filling in the gap for that would be part of your part. Likewise, you're not going to have time to create everything that you need. So filling in those gaps with existing resources is going to be useful. Keep it simple. So don't overly complicate things. Consider your end user as you're designing and developing what elements you want to include. And then make sure, and this is the kind of the big rubric item, I guess you would say, make sure the content, the presentation, and the technologies play well together. So make sure they all work, make sure they all make sense, make sure the transition through everything is nice and smooth and clear, and no one's getting lost in cyberspace and cognitively overwhelmed. Okay, questions on, I'll kind of pause for a moment. Any questions on that? Y'all are all the ones that put the very clear on the weekly feedback survey, right? So, okay. Well, before we get into the doing, I'm just going to run through the ePortfolio very, very quickly. So 5 pages: index, projects, links, readings, coursework, and resume. If you want to get rid of the links, readings page, I'm more than happy to discuss an option for you. This is your kind of professional portfolio. You can use it how you want. You'll have the server space as long as I'm here. Like I said before, I haven't deleted anybody's space unless they requested that I delete it. So if you want to change up this page, and if you want to change up one of the others, probably the projects and resume and index will be the same. But if you want to tweak the coursework, to make it something more relevant to you, more useful, I'm fine with that as well. Some things you're going to, as you're putting it together, some things you're going to want to collect and work on. Have all your projects in a central location. So I talked earlier about putting a project, in my ePortfolio folder. I have that projects page, projects folder. I'm going to collect my CV. Now here, I'm not going to grade your resume or your CV, and you're going to make it as part of the web design. It's going to follow the same formatting and structure as your web design, and then a link to a printable version. So you might want to be thinking concisely with regards to this, maybe like an abbreviated resume or CV on the page, and then a link to a more comprehensive one, something along those lines. Screenshots, so you're going to want to collect screenshots ahead of time before you start kind of putting this all together. Collect your helpful links and readings for your readings page, and you need 3 of each. And they can be anything. You want them to be professionally related, but they don't have to be from this course. If you're in another area or background and you want to pull in some citations from that and some readings and helpful links from that, that's completely fine. It's totally up to you. Other images, so like banner images, footer images, maybe those kind of things you want to collect as well, and have them all in a central location ahead of time. Can the ePortfolio also be yeah, Brian, good question. So can you use the same web design as your multimedia and as your multimedia shell and your ePortfolio? Yeah, that's totally fine. Obviously the content will be different, and they will be 2 different sites in 2 separate folders, or that'll be a problem. But yeah, you can use the same general layout and design. I would like to see something different, to see you kind of spread your wings a little bit, but it's not like a critical requirement. Then a list of any coursework. Now, all I care about is your graduate coursework. So if this is your first course in graduate school, great. If you have a pre-existing degree, graduate degree or undergraduate degree, you can kind of put that there. It's up to you. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. For the all pages, you want to have an image. So a banner image would be appropriate, a footer image, something to kind of draw the user in. You want to follow effective design, and then you want to have an email link on all of the pages as well. Your index page, very simply, name, email, introduction. Projects page, link to your projects, and the ones I'm requiring are the multimedia, graphics layout, audio project. If you did a separate multimedia and multimedia shell design, I want to see both of those. And then descriptions and screenshots of your projects. For screenshots, you can use Snagit, which is a downloadable, a free download for 30 days at techsmith.com. Or you can, if you have an Apple or a Mac, you can do Apple Shift 4. If you have a PC, you can do print screen and then crop it. It's up to y'all. There's other free tools online that are very useful. For the readings, a list of the readings and resources, so 3 of each. So you need 3 readings and 3 links. Be consistent with the formatting. So enough citation information needs to be provided. It doesn't have to be APA, but something that's useful would be something where I could go and find the citations, the readings based on the information you provided. Provide brief annotations, and as I said, at least 3 of each. Coursework, list of courses, descriptions separated by term. Graduate is all I care about. And then your resume or Vita, your web version as part of the full page, the full site design, and then a link to a PDF and or Word version. All right, so that was that. Let me answer a couple questions. Snippet is fine. Yeah, Gavin, that's perfectly fine. Yep, okay. All right, so let me go ahead and open Dreamweaver. Can y'all still see my screen here? Yep, okay. So I'm gonna just start with the ePortfolio, and I'm just gonna go to the index page. And we started this last time, but let's say that I wanted to provide some kind of an audio introduction to my ePortfolio. I could use a couple of different tools. So maybe below my picture, I'd probably center all this. But one of the things I can do here, let's see, hold on, I got a chat question. Oh, y'all aren't seeing Dreamweaver? Okay. I wish somebody would tell me earlier. Jeez. All right. How about now? Can y'all see it now? I'm just kidding, I know. All right. Okay, y'all can see it now, right? Okay. Okay, so down below, I would, so I just kind of deleted a couple things, no big deal. But maybe I want to do like an audio introduction to my thing. Oh, let's see some. Okay, you're welcome. Kind of reduces the effectiveness when you can't see the tool that I'm working in. So, all right, so here, what's cool about Dreamweaver is it does some nice things automatically for you very easily. So if I go to insert, and I kind of scroll down here, let me kind of move this out of the way a little bit. Scroll down. I see this HTML5 audio, so I can just double click, and it gives me this audio thing. So this is just like when I did inserting an image, it's kind of the same thing. I just select it, go to my properties window, and I see source here. So I click on the file, the folder, and I'll just go to projects, and I have this. It's not the one I want, but it works. So now I've inserted that audio content. So now when they come to my page, they would get a nice little introduction to the site, or to how they were interacting with the site. Let's see if it shows up live. Let's see what it looks like live. Yeah, so let's see, they get this nice little.
Hello, everybody, and welcome.
So they get a nice little audio introduction. Obviously, I would work on the alignment of this page and all that, but you kind of get the gist of it, right? So nice little audio. All I did was insert HTML audio. I could also do the same with Flash video, Flash SWF, HTML5 video, rollover images. So there's some really cool stuff that you don't have to do. HTML5 video, like I just use YouTube, so I'll post a lot of stuff on YouTube and just embed that way. But if I wanted to host the video on my page, I would click on down here, HTML5 video. And then again, I would just go to the source. Where's it at? I think I have to drag it. Yeah. So I would link to it here. So, but you can embed these different objects pretty easily. So, but let's just say that I didn't want to use that embed player. So here's the video. So delete that. Okay. So another option is this tool called SoundCloud. And can y'all see SoundCloud now? Or can y'all see, y'all can see my screen, right? So SoundCloud is just a free tool. It's just a cloud-based audio. It's sort of like a cloud-based, it's like an audio YouTube, so to say. So you go here, download, create an account, then any audio file you have, you can upload, and it creates this little library for you. So here, when I click, I have a demo narration, I have this multimedia overview.
Professor, we can't see the SoundCloud.
I'm just going to share my background, my whole screen, because my desktop, because I keep changing. How about now?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So this is SoundCloud, and it's a free account. I upload. When I get the content, they give me this library here. Now this is all the content I've uploaded. I have 2 followers, yay, and 2 tracks. So I click share, and here I can share the link. I could also start it at a given point. So if I wanted them to listen to like the last minute of it, I could, it was 2 minutes long, I could change this. But if I click here, I get the embed code. So I'm just going to copy the code. I can enable automatic play, which I don't. I can play around with the backgrounds and the height and all these things. So I don't like the height being 300, but I can change that by going into the code. So now let me just minimize this. So I go to Dreamweaver. I'm going to go in my split view because I can't, if I paste my code, that's not good, right? So we'll just delete that. So I'm going to go to my split view, put my cursor where I want it, and then just paste then. Okay. And when I click here, scroll down a little bit. Okay, hold on. There we go, sorry. Okay. So now I get this lovely pixelated picture of my face. So here it's 1,000 width, 100% width. So maybe I just make that like maybe 50. And then maybe I make this 100 as the height. Kind of, it's a little more usable there, but it's just a little player. So you don't have to worry about, well, it's just another option for you. So then I'll just save that. Okay. Go back to the design view. Okay. All right. And now, so when in the design view, notice how I could just get this kind of big gray box there. So now I'm going to go to the projects page. And here, I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to list my project. So I might do audio project first. Multimedia, I can do it in however I want. Multimedia shell. Okay, So here again, I might, we need screenshots of these, but for the audio and the graphics layout, you don't need screenshots because you can do embeds. So here I might just do the embed again. And again, just find the, oops. Find the source again. Maybe make it a little bold here. Give a little description. This project, blah, blah, blah. Multimedia shell. I'm just going to insert a random screenshot. So let's go to, it's not going to be of the multimedia shell, but whatever. So I'll go to insert image. Go to my project images. Oh, I can do this one. Let's see if this one works. No, wrong one. Give it. Okay. Okay. So that might be, it's not my shell, but you'll get the gist. But what I want to do is I want to link to my multimedia shell. So instead of typing in a URL, I'm going to go to here, grab the folder, go to ME6507 sites, select shell, index, open. Now I want this to open in a new window, even though it's internal, because it's not part of the navigation. So I'm going to go to target _blank. So then it's going to open in a new tab. And then when they click that tab, they don't close, and they close it out, they don't close out of the ePortfolio page. Now the graphics layout media project is another thing that I want to not link to, I want to embed. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to embed the PowerPoint. So to do this, I simply go to, close this, Microsoft Office 365, and I upload my PowerPoint. And what's nice here is if I go to File, I have it open, I go to File, and I go to Share. I can share the link with people, but I can also embed it. So I click on this and it gives me some dimension options. So I'm just going to take that small dimension and copy it. It gives me some interaction items. It gives me some other things, but that's really all I care about. And I'm going to go here, go to my split view again. And after maybe hit there and paste it. And I'm good to go. So I see a question. Give me one moment. Go back to my design view. Just make sure I'm not saying we should be incorporating the projects into both the multimedia project. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, good question, Rachel. Yeah, so they don't necessarily have to be your multimedia project in your multimedia project. So the audio, the graphics layout, those two should be ideally in your multimedia project and on the ePortfolio, but the multimedia project is going to include much, much more. So those are just components of the smaller project. I guess the ePortfolio will too, but yeah, you can use them all for both. It's not double dipping. So here, sorry about that. I've created, so you can't see it now, but when I go to the live view, please work, please work, please work, please work, please work. So like I could share it with everybody. And what's cool about this is the SharePoint Online is that it will actually maintain all of the interactivity. So now instead of video, you're looking at interactive media, hypermedia as the tool. The user has to go in and interact with it if it's something that you've created in that manner. So you have a navigation link, maybe you have them interacting, answering questions, and based on how they respond, it goes to different slides. You can do some really powerful stuff with it, and this really maintains all of the interactivity from that. Whereas in the past, they had to download the PowerPoint, and it was much more difficult to interact with that particular tool. Now, some things that I will say here is that if I look at this is 250 by 197. This is, I might have to go to code. It's bigger, so we'll go with that. So I might need to click on this and make it a little bit bigger to kind of fit with the size of the, or you can go in and change the embed code here. So if I go to split view, I can change the size of it. Right now it's 350 by 286. So let's say I made it like 350 by, or 300 by 236. I'm just guessing. So you can kind of play around and get it to look at a certain size, okay? Then we have, maybe we have a I'm just gonna go down here just to illustrate this. I have a great video that I wanna share as part of my multimedia. It's not, I wouldn't use it for my multimedia project, but I wanna show y'all how to share video. So I click down here, give it its header. Go to the design view entirely. So done that one. Okay. So, one other tool for the narrated PowerPoints is a tool called AuthorStream. And this is sort of like a graphics, it's sort of like a PowerPoint, a narrated PowerPoint YouTube. So SoundCloud is like an audio YouTube. This is sort of a narrated PowerPoint. So what's cool about this is it's a little clunky now because it's Flash based, but I have the URL, I have the embed code, and I can present it live. I can actually download these with the full version. I can share it other ways, download it as a Flash video, as an MP4, or as a PowerPoint. But when I upload it, it maintains all of the interactivity and all of the audio. So, and users would navigate through linearly, or then when there's links in there, they could go through and navigate through it with the links. So it's a really nice tool for that, and then you could just embed it very easily. I've disabled embed for a lot of these, but you can embed it very easily. You just copying the embed code for it. So this is a nice way to do it as well if you don't want to link to Office 365, or if you've created it in like a Keynote or something else like that that makes it a little more difficult to use that way. Now another way to do video is to simply go to YouTube. I showed you the video link in, if you wanted to maintain it locally on your server space, you would just do the HTML5 video embed. But here, if I selected this is one from my channel for this course, I go down here to share, and then I have the first option here is embed. Now, cool things with this is like right now it's at, I have it starting at 31 seconds. So if let's say I have a YouTube video and the first 30 seconds is garbage and I don't need it, I could just let them start at a particular point, and the code will modify for that. But then I just copy this code, go back to Dreamweaver, put it where I want to put it, put the cursor where I want it to go, click on the split, go down to the code view, and paste. And again here, this is much bigger than what is here and here. So playing around with the size, is going to be useful. So here it's 315 by, it's 560 by 315. What was this one? I can't remember. 300 by 236. So I might go here and just see what it does. 300. And then so they're the same size. It may mess up the, may make them a little distorted, but yeah, you can play around with that. And then you see here, if we go to the live view, the YouTube video is very clearly set out right there. So I'm gonna save this and just moving on. Oh, some other tools for, so we did the SoundCloud. We're not gonna go over the audio element. There's the W3C. You can just copy this code and it's a very similar player to what Dreamweaver does. But since you have Dreamweaver, you don't need to know this code. But if you go to where Dreamweaver is, if you go to Dreamweaver and look at the code for the audio, so the index page, if I click on this and go to split view, you can see the code is very simple. Audio controls, source / end audio. So all this is the code for audio. It's super simple. Like really, you're just telling it where to go to get it and telling it what type it is, and that's it. So if I wanted to do another audio, I could just copy this and then just change the source and I'm good to go. See here that this right here is the wrong ePortfolio folder. So. Okay. Let's see a question. Yeah, Rachel, you could do it either way. The preference for the audio the preference for the audio project and the graphics layout would be to embed them. And then the preference for the web shell and the multimedia project would be to link to them. Yep. If you had other projects, it would depend on what they were that you were trying to illustrate. So let me see what else I have with this one. Okay, so that's another tool that you could use for if you want to do screenshots is Camtasia. There's like a free download. It's like a 30-day download. You can do screenshot videos. So if you're doing like all the videos that I do, like this one here on uploading to your server and those sorts of things, so all the screen videos were done with Camtasia. But there's another free one called Loom. And it's nice because it kind of embeds like your head there. You can record that, make that a still image, or make it a talking, make it like a webcam capture, and then you can walk through whatever you need to. And it has some nice highlighting features and that sort of thing as well. So Loom and Camtasia are some nice options for those kind of elements. So we have about 13 minutes left. So what I wanted to do just real quick, I kind of showed you the usability aspect of things here. So now if we go to the content, so we've looked at the index page, we've looked at the projects page. We want to have, descriptions, annotations of each of those. So when we look at the resume page, so what I would do here is delete this. Delete this. I'm just deleting some content here. That would just get it to where I'm ready to work on it. Okay, get rid of all the stuff that I don't need. Just get rid of all the stuff I don't need. And then once I get that done, the big pain, the resume is a bit of a pain, because here I would say something like, I could let them know what the version is, highlight it, and then make the link. Yeah, darn it. Give me a second. So the importance of collecting your works ahead of time. Okay, so I just put that in a miscellaneous folder in my ePortfolio. So I just click here, go into my, I could click there, go to my ePortfolio, miscellaneous, and click on it. And then, so then the next step would be to get that content, get some of that content at least on that page. So here, I'm just going to take the first page here, copy it, and then go here and embed or paste. So now it's a bit of a pain, you can see. So what I would then have to do is go in and format all of this text in a way that fits. So makes sense. So that's the one thing that takes a little bit of time. You know, so with your portfolio, what I would recommend is something like, see an abbreviated version below, or click here to see a full version. And then leave that, you know, just kind of play around with it. And then reformat all of that. So I'm not going to go through the formatting for that, but that's all you would do there. Just reformat all of that. Sometimes the spacing that you use in your ePortfolio doesn't translate well to the web. So it will take a little bit of time to go in and do that, but sometimes it does. So the one quick thing I will say about formatting these is that if you wanted to, when you hit enter, it's going to double space. So if you only want single space, which is typically what you're going to do, you're going to want to use shift enter. So shift enter will do a single space. Okay. So I'm going to save this page. For your reading, now we'll go to coursework page. For coursework page, again, this is kind of up to you, how much you want to do, how much you don't want to do. There are some basics, but you know, you could say, you know, be at BS in political science, May 2016. And then you go currently whatever, and then start doing like a backwards progression. So courses in fall 22, EME 6613, instructional systems design. I'm going to make a lot of errors right now. Course, blah, 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 blah. And make it bold. Maybe make this right here, you know, a different heading level. Okay, so I'm going to make this one a heading 2. Make all the terms, and maybe make these like heading 4s. Whoops, wrong one. And yes, I see that the N is capitalized. So you can kind of play around with that to get it to look like what you want. You know, I'm going to go EME 6507, multimedia training. Cool guy. And then you just kind of go in and do the same thing. So heading 4. And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can make, you know, you can use these heading levels to change, to establish a clear hierarchy in each of your pages. And this is the same kind of stuff you're going to do with your multimedia project. You're just going in, making these changes to the pages. Once you've made the changes to the pages, so we're going to say we're done with everything. I'm just going to select the entire folder, connect, upload, yes. Yes to all. And then I'm going to test. So I know my root, I'm always going to start with rhartshorn.com. So summer-2020/DocHartshorn, because that's my username. And then whatever, we looked at ePortfolio, so it's going to be /ePortfolio. And then /index.html, or whichever one I want to look at. So /ePortfolio /index.html. So I see here, I got this, scroll down, I got this player here.
Hello, everybody.
Player here. Okay, obviously I want to delete that. Go to my projects page, got my embed, I got this, my link here. Okay, so I'm good there. It opened in a new tab, so that's good. I have my presentation there. What's cool, if I click on it, obviously it's small now. I can make it bigger by clicking there. But if I roll over these, I see these links work. So it still maintains that link functionality. Courses, there we go. Got my courses here. Okay. Obviously, I would play with the formatting, resume. Okay, go to the doc version. I didn't link that, so I need to link that. Then I would reformat that, obviously, and then my readings, of course, we didn't do anything with that. Then I'm done. So all I'm doing is the same process for my multimedia project. I'm embedding media, I'm adding text around it to provide context and intentionality and all of that. So that is pretty much what I had for tonight. And we have a couple minutes, so I am happy to entertain any questions that you might have. That was a lot, wasn't it? Gavin, looks like you have a question, but you're on mute.
I am on mute. Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
All right, good. I guess what I wanted to find out was with the multimedia project, would it be better to have as many like embedded links as far as graphics and audio as possible? Like if you're doing like a tutorial on how to use music equipment or software or something like that, would that kind of be better? Because I'm trying to decide which direction I want to head in, right? If I want to kind of embed more videos and more audio clips as opposed to just describing everything. Because I guess what I want to do is be as thorough as possible, but keep it simple. What would you suggest?
I would say pick like one or two tools and
Okay.
focus on those, or one or two things with tools, something that you think are important to know about tool A and or tool B.
Okay.
And then it depends on the complexity of it. So is it something that is, if it's super complex, a video with maybe call outs and highlights and stuff on it would be good.
Yeah.
But if it's something that is so complex that people probably need to do, would be better off doing it like, here's step one, here's step two, here's step three. You might create like a handout and with screenshots in the handout and like little and link to that handout. Linking to a Word document that has that would be perfectly fine.
I was thinking more like a screencast, because that's what I did for my
That would be fine
graphics
too,
layout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kendall,
Okay, thank you for that.
Sure. Kendall, the confirmation code is McFly. Because this was my picture. It's kind of how I feel right now. So
I have a question.
sure, Jennifer.
In Dreamweaver, if you can't find, so if you're using a template and you can't find how to edit a certain part on their template, is there a way to troubleshoot? Because if you're a beginner in Dreamweaver, for example, on my title bar at the top, so instead of changing the font color to indicate what page you're on, so if you're on the home or contact, instead they had a little shape in it.
And it stays on that same link, right?
Right. So I couldn't figure out, it looked like what they did was kind of in like if you're in Microsoft Word, you know how they kind of put an image behind something, like send to the back, and then something's in front of it in the foreground. That's kind of like what that is, but I could not find how to change that color.
Can you send it to me? Because I know I looked at it. They may have also done a rollover image. Okay. So when you or some kind of rollover type image. So send it to me, and because there are little things like that it depend. They could have done it so many different ways that it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, go check out this, but it just depends on how they did it. If that makes sense.
So how can I send, I'm sorry, how do I send a Dreamweaver file to you?
Well, no, so it's part of your shell, right? Or something, right? Send me the URL. Like upload that page and just send me the URL and say, hey, this is what I wanted to look at. And I can go into the code and look at it.
You want to do that right now?
No, not this. No, not right now. But send it to me like afterwards.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll send it to you.
And I'll look at it tonight.
Okay.
And probably have something to you tonight or tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
So Dr. Hartshorn, I don't know if I heard correctly. You said to embed a PowerPoint, you have to upload it. So would we have to upload it to the site server or something?
So you can go Office 365. And when you upload it if you have access to Office 365, you do through UCF, you can make it public, and then anybody can open it if you want. You can also make it constrained to the UCF, to UCF people or whatever. So there's some options with that, but it would need to be uploaded. The other options you have are you could link directly to the PowerPoint. You could upload, you could convert it to a video, like a screencast video, if it didn't have any interactivity. Or you could also use AuthorStream or something like that. So.
Okay.
Also, in our final project, in our multimedia project, the completion that we have on our website, if we have text on our website, everything has to be 100% complete on all of our pages, on all.
Oh yeah, for your final multimedia, yeah.
Okay, so we can't use the just the insert of the I always call it the garbly goop.
No.
that they insert. Okay,
The
so
Laura
all text
Mipson.
has to be complete on the multimedia. It can't be just the inserted text placement.
Right.
Okay.
Your multimedia project is a complete product. So, and don't have like pages with like under construction or anything like that. That's a no-no. So,
Or sending you to like a site that doesn't match.
right. I mean, you can have links to external sites like in your navigation. That's fine, but it just needs to make sense.
Mhm.
So. All right. I'm going to have another Q&A optional on Thursday. I'll be sending a poll for a webinar next week that is also a Q&A and optional, kind of wrapping up. It's both of them I will not have an agenda on. They will be student driven. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this, if you have questions and you're unable to make it or whatever, send them to me. If we need to set up individual meeting times, I'm more than happy. Not more than happy. I'm happy to do that. And we'll get that something on the calendar. All right. All right. And very good job with stuff so far. I think I mentioned in the announcement, I don't know who's heard it, but like the highest ratings I've had on that test, I think ever. And then likewise with the pack-back scores, those were the highest I've had ever as well. So I must be doing a really good job of, no, I'm just kidding. Y'all doing a great job, particularly for a 6-week course. So, all right, we'll see y'all maybe Thursday and or maybe next week and or sometime in between. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye. Bye, Dr. Hartshorn.
Bye, y'all.